Welcome back to another edition of the Big Knick Energy Podcast. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on YouTube, Apple Pods, Spotify, and Podbean. Join our Facebook group, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and join our chalkboard. It is a messaging board app about specifically gambling in sports. We're at 123 members. Once we get to 250, we'll be doing another Knicks giveaway. Will it be tickets? Will it be merch? We don't know yet. We're not that close. Oh, baby. We're there. The playoffs. Talking playoffs? Talking playoffs. Playoffs. I am so excited. I know we were just there 2 years ago. That team didn't belong there. Let's be real. I love Reggie Bullock. Not so much Elfrid Payton. Derrick Rose, I mean, God bless you, man. And Julius Randle getting triple teamed and shooting like 36% from the field. That was not really a playoff team. This is a playoff team. The 47-35 Knicks, the 5 seed, which feels way more legit than the 4 seed we had 2 years ago. Led not by Julius Randle, maybe in points and in rebounds per game, but not in the overall leadership. We have Jalen Brunson. And no matter what any pundits on national media or TV say, or the guy we're going up against, Donovan Mitchell, which as a fellow Mets fan, I get it, man. Let's go Mets. LGM. He's not on the team. I'm totally cool with that. But we have Jalen Brunson. And what Jalen Brunson brings to the table is a man that scored 42 points on the dome of Donovan Mitchell's Utah Jazz last year. A man that helped beat the Utah Jazz, leading the Dallas Mavericks in 2 or 3 games without Luka Doncic, 4-2. In a series where he really showed out and kind of helped get himself a $104 or $106 million contract. That Jalen Brunson is now leading this team. Julius Randle, it seems day by day he's getting a little more healthier. His ankle's a little better. He's ramping up a little bit. A little. Not quite clear for contact. Not just yet, but we're making it. Baby steps, little by little. And we're about to go against a couple of Cavs big, so I'm going to get into in a sec. That Julius Randle is definitely going to be needed out there. And we're going to need some 38 to 40% three-point shooting out of him. We're going to need to space the inside a little bit because we can't let Mobley and Allen clog the paint and just make them both bang with Mitch and Ihart the whole game, because that means they're not having to cover the three-point line. We're not making them scramble, and we don't want to do that. But Vin, I know you're here. I'm going to say Vin a lot during this podcast. Even if he doesn't say anything back to me, it's just a little filler in the meantime. So Vin, I'm talking to you.
Joe, I'm here, Bob.
Oh, you are here. All right, Vin. I'm so excited. Let me tell you. You didn't have to actually respond. I was just going to say it. Oh, God, man. We were just in a Twitter space and we were talking about, there was a lot of Emmanuel Quickley talk and a lot of Evan Mobley talk. And what's as clear as day, talking to 2 different fan bases. I really love Twitter, man. It really brings people together, even if you're just screaming and yelling at each other the whole time. And you're not even saying much of anything. You could be talking stats, you could be talking gibberish and everything in between. You can say Knicks in 6, you can say Cavs in 5, you can say fucking Knicks in 14. None of it matters. They're not playing the games yet, but they will Saturday, 6 p.m. in Cleveland, which no one wants to ever actually go to Cleveland. They say in Cleveland like this because all the ladies and people got to smoke cigarettes out there to make themselves feel better about living in Cleveland. I'm totally joking. I made all that up. You don't have to come at me. But yeah, I'm super excited. Evan Mobley and Emmanuel Quickley are just 2 guys that they're not on the radar of the opposing team. Like they should be. But like Knicks fans don't know how good Evan Mobley really is. I actually was just in a Twitter space and blew a third of the minds there of the people that were up by speakers that Evan Mobley is going to win Defensive Player of the Year or come really close. He has quite a few first place votes from the ones that come out. And Emmanuel Quickley, unfortunately, doesn't seem like he's going to win 6th Player of the Year based on what's come out, but he'll come in 2nd. But Emmanuel Quickley's only had a few good national TV games all year. And all that anyone ever sees or hears when you watch anything on television, whether it's from Fox, ESPN, or any other national news outlet for sports, it's all about Jalen. Can Jalen Brunson get the Knicks so far? They still need to get a star, blah, blah, blah. Like, this team's a nice story. Julius Randle, what will he do in the playoffs? Can he succeed in the playoffs? Was 2 years an admiration, or is it just who he is? Like, will he turn into Beyblade Randle? But there's literally 7 other players we play in a rotation. And while the Cavs aren't going to go in too deep in their bench, whether they play Okoro or Levert more at the 3, we don't know yet. How often they really try to go small with Mobley at the 5 and take Allen off to play 2 of those guys, or Lamar Stevens or Raul Neto or Danny Green, who is now finally back after being injured all year. He got a couple of minutes in the last few games before the playoffs. So we might see some Danny Green, apparently, in case you didn't know that. If Danny Green is making corner threes and locking up RJ Barrett or IQ or Quentin Grimes, I'm going to need a time machine to fast forward 3 more years into the future so I don't have to see Danny Green anymore, because I thought that dude was done and gone when he got hurt like a year and a quarter ago now. Totally unbelievable. But enough about Danny Green. But we're going to find out as fan bases who is Immanuel Quickley. Cleveland, just to rattle off some BS stats, and they're per game. I want to let everyone know. If you look at stats for the postseason, you want to get a real feel for players, how good they do. What you need to know 2 things. One, you need to know the rotation of the team. The rotation matters a lot because in the regular season, guys go 10, 12 deep. Tom Thibodeau does not do that, but a lot of teams do. They'll go like 9, 10, 11, 12 deep. In the playoffs, it's 9 or less. A lot of times it's 8 or 7. And even the 7, only 6 of them get over 30 minutes. The 7th and 8th guy, maybe they get 15. It's not that deep, but the Knicks are deep. Immanuel Quickley didn't play 36 minutes per game. He only averaged 28 minutes per game, but he averaged 15 points in those 28 minutes. He shot 45, 37, 82. And honestly, that 82 for the free throw line's a little low. This man came as a rookie and was shooting 90%. He learned free throw shooting from his mom, who went to Oregon. He's been a shooter his whole life, bled. It's in his blood. That's who Immanuel Quickley is. Only offensively. That's only basic counting stats. Not even mentioning that this dude is amazing on the defensive end. He's not our best one-on-one defender. That would go to Quentin Grimes. He is not even our best, help off-ball defender now that we have Josh Hart. Josh Hart's a better free safety than Immanuel Quickley is. But let's say Hart's an A- at off-ball and Quentin Grimes is an A-, B+ on-ball. Quickley is a B and a B+, A- at both of those things himself. He is amazing overall total package. And you're going to find the Cleveland Cavaliers fans are going to find out. They are 100% going to find out, because while this man doesn't start for us, I mean, it really doesn't matter who starts. It only matters who finishes. And assuming Randle is healthy, we can 100% assume Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle will be finishing. We can 100% assume a center will be finishing for the Knicks, whether it's Hart or Mitch that game. It'll depend on who was in foul trouble, how the game flow is going, just who's playing better that game, But 2 and 3 is a total crapshoot. Quentin Grimes, Immanuel Quickley, Josh Hart, RJ Barrett. Those 4 guys are going to be fighting for 2 of the 2 spots. And based on what we saw a lot of the year, Josh Hart and Immanuel Quickley were the closers a lot of the time. A lot more than Quentin Grimes and RJ Barrett. So the Cavs are going to see a lot of Immanuel Quickley, and they'll see a lot of him in the 4th quarter. And we'll all see for his second playoff series, but his first is a major 30+ minute per game contributor. Just what he's about. So that brings me to Evan Mobley on the Cleveland Cavaliers, who, like I said, is more likely at the time of recording of winning Defensive Player of the Year than Immanuel Quickley is a winning 6th man of the year. Just to throw Evan Mobley's normal counting stats out there, played 79 games, averaged over 34 minutes a game. He 16 points. We got 9 rebounds, only 2.5 of the offensive board. So he's not a Mitch Robinson. Let's see. Free throw shooting. I mean, we're only shooting 67%. It's pretty young. That makes sense. 2-pointers. He finishes a lot inside, almost 60%. 3-pointers, definitely not his game yet. It's below 22%. So this man finishes a lot inside. But his overall impact is on the defensive end. A lot of times at the end of the games, they'll actually do Allen and Mobley at the same time a lot. We'll see a lot of 2 towers kind of moves. And then sometimes we won't. Sometimes they'll have Mobley at the 5, take Allen out, and then they'll have Okoro and LeVert, or if Dean Wade's actually shooting well, or if Raul Nito's shooting well, Jetty Osman, again, Danny Green, like I said. But like for the most part, we're going to be seeing Garland, Mitchell, Mobley, and Allen. And if Evan Mobley is covering Obi Toppin, we can all love the idea and hope and pray that Obi Toppin is able to just sprint up and down the court like it's a spring scrimmage. Like we're just talking April, playing the Houston Rockets, Detroit Pistons, Indiana Pacers, Washington Wizards basketball. I know they didn't play the Pistons in April, but you get what I mean. And like that's just not what playoff basketball is. Like the pace slows down a lot. And both these teams already play with pretty low pace because they just let Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland dissect on one end and run pick and rolls with Mobley and Allen. And then on the other end, they let Brunson dissect teams. They let IQ try dissect. They give Randle the ball on the elbow or the wing 3-point line and let him go to work from there. And it's the same thing. It's a lot of ISO. And we'll see how it goes. You make or you miss. Both these teams are top 6 in turnovers per game, partly based on pace and partly based on not actually looking to get the ball out of their playmakers' hands. They're not trying to swing the ball around a lot. Garland averages 9 assists, but I mean, that's basically it, or 8 assists. Mitchell averages 4. LeVert averages 4 when he plays, but they're not a team trying to like look to dish and stuff like that, and neither are the Knicks. Brunson averaged like 6. I'm not looking right now. Randle was around 5. Like or 4.5, something like that. Like they just want the ball to be in their playmakers' hands, and we're not going to get turnovers. And because of that, we're going to see a lot of Mobley in drop coverage. We're going to see a lot of Allen in drop coverage. We haven't seen, as Knicks fans, Evan Mobley have a good game all year. We didn't. We played him 4 times. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I don't think he scored more than 20 points in any of those games. Like the Cavs lost 3 of the 4. Allen only played 1 of those games. That might have been the one they won. I know they won one game 92-86, and the other 3 all Knicks wins were in the hundreds, including the one a few weeks ago that Allen didn't play, Okoro didn't play, Randle was out. Like it's not even the same teams we're gonna see really. We watched Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson basically just go shot for shot, playing horse for half a quarter.
Buddy. I got you on stats on Evan Mobley.
What do you got me?
Evan Mobley averaged 13.3 points, 7.8 rebounds, and 3.5 assists in 4 games versus the New York Knicks this season.
13 points. What was his high in those 4 games? Do you have that in front of you?
I will get to you in a second.
All right. So either way, regardless, he averaged 13 points. Like, and he's not cleaning the glass off of us. Like we have Mitch, we have iHeart, like we have way better rebounding guards. I don't have to go into how Josh Hart. What do you got?
All right. So for points on the last game they played, or the first game of the season that they played, he got 16 points. Second game.
Is that his high?
That 11? Was his highest. Yep. And then won 11, 12, 14 in the last 3.
Yeah, exactly. Like we haven't seen Evan Mobley do well. This is like the same thing that we had as Knicks fans for years up until Sabonis was on the Kings this year. Like we watched Domantas Sabonis supposedly be like a top 20 NBA player. And every time he played the Knicks and Julius Randle, he was the worst of the 2.
Joey, he got 7 rebounds in 3 of the games. And the second time they saw each other, he got 10 rebounds.
So 1 double-double in the second game. That was the game they won, 92-86, and that was the only one Allen played too. So
field goal attempts, he had 13, 9, 11, and 8. Field goal
not aggressive.
Field goal percentage was 46, 44, 54, and 75. 75 was the last time we played them.
Yep. And that was without Randle.
And that's all the no. I mean, 4 blocks.
It's
all
good.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 blocks in 4 games against us.
That's pretty good. I mean, like I said, he's Defensive Player of the Year candidate. He's probably going to win. Getting 11 blocks in 4 games against the team is that ain't too shabby. That's for sure. That's literally 1 short of 3 a game. So that's pretty good. But yeah, back to the original point. IQ and Evan Mobley are going to be like two guys that the other fan base is either going to extremely make fun of you for. If you're a Knicks fan and Evan Mobley goes off, especially against Julius Randle, to a lesser extent, Obi Toppin, I think there's like a 10 to 20% of the fan base that is expecting Obi, that if Obi does play the first 2 games, to somehow go off against Evan Mobley, who's literally the Defensive Player of the Year. And that seems extremely bullish, to use a stocks term, to That's like buying Bitcoin at $10 and saying, I believe this will be worth 100K one day. And you were almost right. But I mean, the odds of that when you bought it weren't that high. And then if he does it against Julius Randle, then we have a totally different problem. We're like, if we're already at the point that if Evan Mobley outplays Julius Randle in a playoff series and Evan Mobley's 21 and Julius Randle's 28, then literally for the next 2 or 3 years where we're thinking we're a star away from really competing, from getting up to the Bucks level or at least the Celtics level, we are wrong, because Julius Randle then immediately goes behind another power forward in the Eastern Conference pecking order. And we can't really afford that. We still have Giannis in this conference. I count Jason Tatum as a 4. He's still in the conference. Like, if Randle's 3rd and then he goes to 4th and then he's still our second best player on the team, that puts you farther and farther behind the 8 ball as we go. If Evan Mobley is already better than him at 21, turning 22 years old, we just can't have that. If we want to truly be in the contention for a ring in the next 2 or 3 years, we can't have that. Or we get back to the whole thing we were at 2 summers ago. And then half of last year after Randle did the thumbs down and just was a bad teammate and not a great leader and all that stuff. Like, remember when we signed Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier to save our team? That is hilarious to think about in hindsight. But yeah, just we won't be where we want to be. And then we're like, well, how do we pair Brunson up with somebody? We need to get someone better on defense. Like, the slipping slide scale we would go down above any and other matchup. That would be the worst result, is if Mobley severely outplayed Julius Randle. Now, Vin, I told you before that I actually wrote a crap ton of notes about Thibs and his postseason success or lack thereof. That was what I was going to do quite a bit of this on. So I think we're about 20, 25 minutes in. If I could get like 10 minutes on Thibs and where he's been in the playoffs, just as a warning, I think Thibs has grown a lot in the past year or so. I have been one of the people that was near the front of the we should fire Thibs, and whether we brought in Johnny Bryant to like just move up Johnny Bryant to intern and give him a shot, or if it was to like try to get Jay Wright if he seemed available, which he seems just he's retired at this point for real. Or if it was a Quinn Snyder, I just kept saying I think Charlie Shaw is going to be good. Or no, Brian Shaw, which I think Brian Shaw already had a chance in Denver. I know that. And like, he wasn't that good there, but I still think there's something to making a team being top 5 in offense when your team sucks on paper. And Charles Lee, who is on the Bucks and like is their assistant head coach, who's going to be a coach in the next year or two. I'm like, I've said I want other coaches to coach this team. But Thibs has honestly mostly shut me up. And I have one last tweet out, and I keep citing it because I mean it truly. If Tom Thibodeau manages to win a single second-round playoff game, I won't say anything about firing him for 2 years after that date. And I'm only saying one game because I think the Bucks beat the Cavs or the Knicks in 5 games, and I just would want to see at least one or a couple of them be competitive. Preferably with the Knicks winning, being the Cavs, obviously, in my scenario, but I just want a couple of them to be competitive. I don't think we actually give the Bucks much of a battle overall. We're just not there yet. Go back to the Giannis Randle thing. But yeah, so Thibs can really shut me up and help shut up a lot of people for a while if he actually just really makes adjustments and does well in this series. And we are so close to this series starting. Ben, it just turned 6:01 on Thursday, which means in exactly 48 hours, technically 48 hours and 9 minutes, because they always start at 6:10, and that's the playoffs. So 48 hours and 14 minutes, because it'll be 6:15, baby. That's how you push it back. That's how you get more ratings. It's all about the money and the numbers. Bang, bang. Bing, bong. I'm so excited, man. This is the most even series. This is the most even matchup there is. And I am ridiculously excited. And I cannot, like I said, I opened it up with this. I literally cannot wait to see the intricacies of this matchup. They are two such evenly matched teams. And to bring up the last part of the evenly matched teams. Oh, I wanted to get to Thibs first. I'm sorry. I literally got another little rant sidetrack. So Thibs has been in the playoffs, I think 7 times now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He got there 7 times. All 5 years with Chicago. 1 out of his 2.5 years in Minnesota. 1 out of his now 2 out of his 3 years in New York. The 5 times he was there with Chicago, he lost to LeBron James 3 out of those 5 years. Whether I want to hold that majorly against him or not, I think he did have the better team the first year, but it was the first year of the Heatles, and then that was when they lost to the Mavericks, and I actually think they were still gelling, which is why they ended up faltering after Dirk Nowitzki coughed, and then they made fun of him. Just to bring back a little memory you can look up on YouTube. It's always funny to see them making fun of that, and then him dropping like 36 or whatever it was the next game. But so Thibs' main issue throughout his career as a coach is that he'll have a top 1 to 5 defense, giving up like back in the early 2000s, just to throw how much different the game is now from back then. In 2010, 2011, the Bulls were first in defense and they gave up 90.8 points per game. The Cavs are first and they give up 10 more points per game, or like 12 more points per game this year. Literally, there was 10 less points per game being scored last year. And that's a lot. That's because pace has moved up. It's because of the 14-second change on rebounds. Like, way different scoring. But the thing is, they were giving up less than 91. And they beat the 8th seed. They were the 1 seed that year. They beat the 8th seed Indiana 4-1. They beat Atlanta 4-2 with Joe Johnson and them. And then they lost 4-1 to the Heatles. And they only gave up 92.5 points per game in the playoffs. But that included, I think, 4 of the 5 games against the Heat. The LeBron, Bosh, D-Wade Heat. They scored over 100 points, and the Bulls were held to under 98, I think was the thing I looked at. So that's not good. That's just you. I know it's LeBron. I get it. One of the 5 best players of all time. I don't want to get into that right now, but phenomenal dude. Great. Phenomenal. Absolutely peak, top of the line, Mount Rushmore NBA basketball player. Hard to beat. I totally get that. The second year I'll even dismiss too, because they were the number 1 seed again. And that was the year D Rose tore his ACL in the series against the Andre Iguodala-led 76ers, who were an 8 seed. And they lost 4-2 in that series after D Rose tore his ACL. And they were being led at that point by Joakim Noah, Carlos Boozer. Like, I don't even remember who their leading scorer was when I looked it up. But like, I mean, those were 2 of their best players. And that's great for defense. You're not scoring a lot. Just to let the offensively that series, though, the way it changed was that they scored 96 points per game on offense that year. And then they lost that series scoring 84. So a 12-point drop. That's where the real issue in all these stats come from. It's that they would be a lot of his teams on average, they would go down 6 points per game scoring in the playoffs. And they were already always bottom half, bottom third in the league. For a lot of these years, he was second to last, 18th, second to last, 20th, and 15th in offense the 5 years he was at Chicago. So they were never better than 15th. And if you're not better than 15th and you go from a 15th scoring rate to the last, you're going to lose the games. And yeah, the playoffs slow down. He already coaches a style that makes your players slow down. Go slow pace. Manage the game. Manage the clock. Dissect the defense. He already coaches them to do that. So that's where we come into the issue of why there are Thibs doubters like myself. And again, I've been jumping off the wagon a little bit. I think I've been very impressed with what he's done this year. Went to the 9-man rotation. They won at a 55+ game clip since then. They got Josh Hart. They rattled off 9 in a row right after that. Like, he's done amazingly with the pieces he's gotten. And honestly, they could go 10 deep. Even 11 if you want to count Sims. But they could go 10 deep because Deuce McBride literally only gets minutes as the 10th man, 9th man kind of thing. They have a great team. He's been doing really well, especially with a lot of our younger players. And Thibs throughout his career was known, let's play 32-year-old Carlos Boozer. Let's play. Luol Deng was their leading scorer for that series afterwards. Luol Deng played like 42 minutes a game at one point. Like, dude, give the man a rest. This was also another Thibs negative. Like, run your players into the ground in the regular season. They do worse in the postseason. You just can't. You can't run dudes in the ground like that. Like, Luol Deng's career might have lasted like 3 to 5 years longer if he didn't play for Tom Thibodeau. You know, we don't actually know that. That's clearly speculation, but you add up minutes, you add up wear and tear, how much they tried, how much he pushed them. He was always their best, whether he was always their best perimeter defender or not. He was always the one covering the best guys out there. Like, that is rough. That is rough on the human body. To go back to the Thibs thing, about the stats. So the one other year he lost to a team that wasn't LeBron, he lost to Vin. I want you to take a stab. Just throw out who you think the best player on a random team would be in 2013, 2014. This guy was one of your favorite players at one point. Thibs lost to a team in 2013, 2014 that we would say now is mid AF when I tell you the team. Super mid.
Was it Oklahoma?
No. He was still in the East. He was still with the Bulls.
Oh, it's the East. Damn, you want to just take a long shot?
Take a long shot. Who was good? Who was good 10 years ago that we don't hear from anymore?
Well, you said one of my favorite players. I'm going Mars Stoudemire.
No. John Wall. John Wall,
never,
Marcin Gortat, and Brad Beal.
For the listeners, John Wall was never one of my favorite players.
I thought you loved John Wall.
The F out of me on that.
I thought you loved John Wall because I thought you loved John Wall and Russell Westbrook at the same time. And I was like, neither of these dudes are going to fix their game at any point.
I thought you were going to say it was the New York Knicks in 2013.
No. The Knicks only beat the Celtics. That was it out of all those times. For the playoffs. No, dude, they were last in offense again in 2013, 2014. First in defense. They gave up 93 points per game, which they lost the Wizards 4-1, and they only gave up 90 points per game. So that just goes to show how terrible their offense was, that they actually did better than their own best defensive rate of the year. They gave up 3 less points per game, and they got smoked 4-1 in the series. Like, unbelievable crap. Like, yeah. That was honestly that was the year the writing was on the wall kind of thing. The next year they went 15th in offense, 4th in defense. They gave up 97 points per game. The league had changed a little bit. This actually might be the year when they changed the 14-second rule. They gave up 97 in the regular season, gave up 96 in the playoffs, which part of that 96, part of their numbers are severely skewed in the playoffs. They beat Milwaukee in the 3-6, 4-2. They lost to the LeBron Kyrie Cavs 4-2 in the second round. In the Milwaukee series, they won the closeout game 6. Dude, hear this score. The Bulls beat the Bucks in the 2015 playoffs to win the series 120-66. Team scores 66 at halftime on the regular now. If a team scored 66 in a whole game, that means they're San Diego State or Florida Atlantic, and we're watching the NCAA tournament. Like, and even then it might be 55, but you know what I mean? Like, they cannot. No one's scoring 66, only 66 in a playoff game anymore. So wild. That was his last year with the Bulls. He left afterwards, took a year off, went to Minnesota, missed the playoffs with Minnesota his first year in 2016, 2017. His second year, they were 13th in offense, 8th in defense. They gave up, again, 3 more points per game on defense than they did in the regular season, which, again, the common denominator here is 4 out of these 6 years. They gave up more in the playoffs when teams try harder, when the pace slows down. Teams should, in essence, want to play lower scoring games in the postseason. You run less. You try to control pace. You expect a long series. You try to make the game longer, make it worthwhile, slow, just engage and dissect what is happening in front of you. You very, very rarely grab the ball and run up and down the court nearly as much. Because also another thing that goes with the postseason that the Cavs are going to do, and Knicks fans just want to pretend that it matters a lot, but it doesn't really matter a lot because this is the playoffs. You don't play your bench that much. You play your starters a lot. The fourth quarter is a slow slog of a quarter because everyone's tired. That is where the Knicks could take an advantage to bring it back to the Knicks Cavs this weekend. That's where the Knicks can definitely take advantage of where they're at or going to be. But to expect anything outside of Mitchell, Allen, Mobley, and Garland to play 38 plus minutes a game, anything less than 38 minutes a game, outside of a blowout or an injury, I think is kind of a fool's errand. We'll see LeVert 30 plus maybe. We'll see Okoro 30 plus maybe. Kind of like we'll do with Mitch and Ihar at the 5. Whoever's playing better will get more. I think they're going to do the same thing with the 3 in their case. Maybe, like I said, maybe even Green. Just from a playoff experience standpoint, if he gets his sea legs out from under him from being out for so long, I think those would be the 3 main guys. I really don't think we're going to see Nito a lot. I don't think we're going to see who Well, Rubio's going to back up point. Obviously, he'll get like 8 to 10 minutes. Like, we're just not like they're going 7-8 deep. And if we like, we're not going to see a lot of Dean Wade unless they're really trying to do like different matchup stuff based on like struggling or something like that, or they see a major advantage they have that spreading us out would do. But Mitchell, Allen, Mobley, Garland, we are going to see a lot of. And last thing about the Thibs thing. So the Minnesota year, they averaged 105.6 offensively that postseason. They went down to 101. On defense, they averaged 107. They went up to 110. And much again, kind of like him running into a buzzsaw and losing to LeBron James over and over again. He lost to CP3, James Harden, and Clint Capella in the Rockets when the Rockets were like at their peak of we can almost beat the Warriors. They lost 4-1 to the Rockets. Like if I'm going to make the argument for Thibs, it's that 4 of these 6 years before the Knicks series and the Hawks, like, I mean, the Hawks are better on paper and we'd have Mitch, but like you shouldn't effing lose 4-1 to the Hawks. Like that should have been a closer series. 4 of these 6 times he literally went up against LeBron James at the peak of his power, like the Heatles at the peak of their powers, and then James Harden, CP3 when they were literally just pick and rolling spam, making up travels that aren't travels anymore with a four step back 3 that's a thing now. Just ran into buzzsaws. So I kind of get that. But you lost to the Washington Wizards, which is terrible. Like, and then you lost to and you lost to the 8th seed 76ers after D Rose came out and you didn't have a adjustment, even though D Rose was your offensive playmaker and you were supposedly the defensive catalyst of a coach that makes Luol Deng, Carlos Boozer, Joakim Noah, and all of them be the best defense. But you lost to, I didn't look up the roster, so I literally can't even remember who else was on the Sixers that year outside of Andre Iguodala. That's how, like, you shouldn't have lost to that team as a 1-8. I don't care if Rose is playing or not. And then lastly, as we all know as Knicks fans, 2 years ago in 2021, we lost to Atlanta Hawks, and Trae Young and Bogdan Bogdanovic and Clint Capella ate us up, kind of like he literally just did to the Heat a couple nights ago, because we didn't have Mitchell Robinson and Nerlens Noel can't catch anything, and Taj Gibson's been old for 10 years and still plays. Oh, Taj was on the Bulls the whole time too. How did I even forget that? And yeah, we were first in defense that year. We gave up 104 points per game. We actually managed to hold the Hawks to 104 points per game. So you effing did it. Let's go. You stuck where you're supposed to be. We were 27th in offense at 106 points per game. And then we scored 97 points per game, a 9-point drop. So this year, I didn't look it up, and I'm not going to tell Vin to look it up real quick. I should have just remembered this right now. I'm just going to filibuster by saying I'm not remembering, and I'm looking up stats super fast. All right, the Knicks were 10th in scoring on the year with 116 points per game. What were they defensively? I have to look that up on a separate thing because Yahoo, for some reason, gives half defensive stats and not points per game for some God knows what reason. I actually have never figured that out because when it comes to betting over-unders, it would help if I didn't have to go to a second app. Yahoo, this is a lesson for you. You should definitely include NBA team defense on the app to tell points per game. Okay, we gave up 113. So we scored 116. We gave up 113. If we play this series, also this is against a team that is number 1 in defense, as we are all aware, and we get told over and over again. And that's why Evan Mobley is going to win Defensive Player of the Year, and I think he's going to be the youngest ever Defensive Player of the Year winner, and blah 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 blah. They give up 107 points per game, and they scored. How many points did they score per game, Vin? You don't have to actually answer that. I'll find it before you say anything. They scored effing 112. Okay, so they only scored 112 and they gave up 106, and we scored 116 and gave up 113. If they're still giving up 106 and our 116 goes to 100 or some BS like that, and Julius Randle plays I think the series is going 7 games. We're about to do my final previews for this series and all of the series that are locked in so far. I'll even try to guess who's playing in the 1/8s, even though I don't really care. Because both ones are going to win. If this gets to the point where Randle plays 6 out of 7 games or 4 out of 5 games, like one game less, like he misses game 1 and plays the rest, and then our team still scores 8+ less points per game on offense, and our defense gives up the same amount, which would be on average us giving up 113 and us only scoring 108, and we effing lose the series that way. Again, like Thibs does this again as a coach, has a team that's defense does the same crap it does during the regular season, which is be slightly above average, but also try way harder than everyone else. But his offense gets significantly worse because his game planning, his out of bounds plays, and his lack of pick and roll, and his lack of using like more cutters and just getting different guys on ball and running more Spain pick and rolls and more horns and running primes through different screens and getting IQ to move more off ball and run him through more screens and have Hart and iHeart try to like just manifest their cutting and desire to pass and cut onto the other players and stuff. If Thibs just runs an offense that we're watching Jalen Brunson dribble the air out the ball for 12 seconds, 15 seconds, and then Julius Randle dribbles the air out the ball for the last 6 to 8 seconds before spinning into a terrible shot or a double team. Those of us that have been on Thibs, I don't want you as this coach anymore islands, and the island has had less and less people on it recently. Let me tell you, we will be so effing loud again, beyond bonkers loud. And Julius Randle, I know I just said I blame Thibs more than I think I've made it very apparent that I blame Thibs more than Randle for a lot of their shortcomings and stuff. And like Julius Randle was the best player on a team that didn't deserve to make the playoffs 2 years ago. Realistically, I mean, they deserved it, but they just weren't ready for that. And he isn't. Julius Randle's peak, in my opinion, is being the 3rd best player on a championship team. If I'm just looking solely at a championship team standpoint and not the 1st best player on any team, obviously. I mean, you could be the best player on a team that gets the 5th seed and knock down the 1st round, but you know what I mean? Like, if he wants to win a title, I don't think he's going to ever. He's not LeBron. He's not Giannis. Or Steph. But yeah, if we get to the point again that Thibs is just like we get knocked out that way and the defense goes down and the offense goes down and the Cavs go up and like that whole spiel crap happens, we're going to go really insane. And Randle, if you do the whole like shooting 35%, having as many turnovers as assists, like complaining to the refs, not getting back on defense, like not jumping for rebounds or boxing out sometimes when you stand on your feet and you just think you can grab it, even though there's a guy flying behind you that you literally should have heard, because it's not like they're a ninja out there. You can hear their footprints. You can hear the footsteps, bro. Sometimes you got to box out. Sometimes there's a guard trying to do the same thing your guards do. Then the trade Julius Randle camp is going to also be super effing loud. Very, very loud people. And I do not want that to happen. I don't think this is going to happen. I want to make it perfectly clear. I don't think that's going to happen. Before I get to my predictions, I do want to mention real quick that I know there's also a lot of Knicks fans that think Obi Toppin somehow, some way will beat or be as good as Evan Mobley. And to bring it back full circle about the IQ Mobley thing, to think Obi Toppin has a chance of even scoring 20 points or 15, like I would say 15's his max, but to think Obi Toppin has a chance of scoring 20 points per game or not getting into major foul trouble or just being pulled from making the wrong reads on defense consistently against a team with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen inside, either I'm terribly wrong and I am very off in what I think Obi Toppin's peak or value is currently, or there are a crap ton of Knick fans that are in for an extremely sad, rude awakening when this dude is getting like 12, 2 rebounds, 2 assists on like okay shooting, but has given up 30 points on defense and just gets yanked and plays like, does the whole 6 to 8 minutes in the first quarter, 6 to 8 minutes in the third quarter, and doesn't play the rest of the game. There's a strong chance that happens. I hope I'm wrong. I want every player on the Knicks to do well. If they could all get exactly 20 points per game, if we go 9 deep and they all score 20 points, that means we got 180 points as a team. I think we win. We should do that. But I just don't see it happening. Now, to get to my predictions, Vin, if you do want to jump in here to give predictions for what you think the series or anything is going to happen, absolutely feel free. But in the meantime,
I think we win in 6.
Okay, cool. So we're going to do I was going to do the Knicks last. I wanted to do every series with you. Is that cool? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that works.
All right, cool. So we're gonna start with the West real quick. Whether the Nuggets play either who won last night? The Thunder, right? Whether the Nuggets play the Thunder or the Timberwolves, just to get the 2-1-8s out of the way, and then we'll do the rest of the West. Do you think either the Thunder or the Timberwolves have a chance to get them against the Nuggets?
No.
Okay. Do you think either the Bulls or the Heat have a chance against the Bucks?
No.
Okay. So let's go to the West end. So 2-7 Grizzlies Lakers. What do you think? What do you think is the result and how many games?
I'm going to be honest, Joe. I barely pay attention to the West, but just
Okay.
I pay attention to the end of the year, though, and I think Memphis takes that. I don't think the Lakers hold it together long enough. But then again, there's playoff LeBron shit.
Playoff AD, you never know. Hey, I mean, dude, even if you don't watch, I mean, you got to think most people, a lot of people that listen to this don't actually watch all the time. Like even most Knicks fans, like the reason why Evan Mobley versus Emmanuel Quickly is even a conversation anyways, because neither fan base watches the other guy more than 5 times a year. Let's be real. So yeah, even if you're like, I don't know even half the players on the team, just give me a name and a number. I'm going to say Grizzlies in 6, for example, if you want to.
I'm going to say Grizzlies Lakers go to 7 because LeBron's not going to give up.
I respect, but you think the Grizzlies win?
Yes, I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Kings Warriors? The Kings have home court, obviously. The Warriors are the defending champs.
Are the Warriors fully healthy right now?
I believe so. I think Andrew Wiggins is going to play. He hasn't played since January, though. So that is a concern for sure. But I believe all their other players are good. Same with the Kings.
I'm going Warriors. Kings are really good. I remember us playing them. They're really good. But Warriors, I believe, is just playoff experience Warriors.
I'm also going to go Warriors in 6. I think the Kings win a couple of the games on like 1 or 2 of the games that they have at home. But I think the Warriors, like just they're the defending champs. And I think the Kings.
I'll go Warriors.
By the way, a little side note. If the Kings do beat the Warriors, I am going to have more than one quote tweet update tweets from Kings fans on Twitter in my account, because the only other team I've even talked about all year in any capacity outside of when we play them is the Sacramento Kings. And I've been saying over and over again that you can't be that good. I don't care if you're first in offense. I don't care if you set records. Like the league, it's a different pace this year. Like it's total BS. Like you're in first. That's good. You're in first place or something. You can't be 25th in defense, and you can't have basically no playoff experience and then expect to defeat the defending champs. And I just kept saying over and over again, I don't care if they're the 3 seed, if they play the Suns, the Clippers, or the Warriors, they're going to lose in 5 or 6 games. And I made that be very known the couple times we did play the Sacramento Kings. So I really hope, for the sake of my messages and DMs and threads and all that stuff, that the Warriors actually do beat the Kings. What about, and then for the biggest matchup on the West for the beginning, the Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, CP3, DeAndre Ayton Suns against the Kawhi and Paul George Clippers.
I think that's a sweep by the Suns.
A sweep?
I think that's a sweep by the Suns, yeah.
Wow. That's some good stuff, and that's a take right there.
I'm kind of confident enough to put that bet in right now.
You're you probably have really good odds on that. A sweep. Oh my God. I was going to say Suns in 7, but Jesus.
No, I don't like the way the Clippers play. I just don't think they're cohesive enough to beat the caliber of skill on the Suns to Suns sweep.
No, I understand. And Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard as best, and Kevin Durant as best. I'd still take Kevin Durant by a little bit, but like, wow, a sweep. Don't you love Russell Westbrook? I'm so confused.
Don't go there.
Okay. I just always, I want to pull out some Russell Westbrook stuff on you every podcast. All right. So we both took the same teams. Not really that surprising. I took the Grizzlies in 6, the Warriors in 6, and the Suns in 7. You took the Grizzlies in 6, the Warriors in how many? Also 6?
Yeah, I'll go 6. 6 works. Yeah.
All right. And then you said the Suns sweep, which is bonkers. All right, whatever. And then for the East, Celtics Hawks 2-7. What do you got? I got the Celtics in 5 personally. I don't think the Hawks are gonna magically play like we all thought they could have at the beginning of the year now, just because they beat the Heat.
I'm gonna go with Celtics sweep on the Hawks.
Sweep. All right, fair. Sixers Nets. I have a Sixers sweep.
I think the Nets will surprise you. Sneak one in there. I think Sixers and 5.
All right, that's fine. We basically just switched our Sixers and Celtics games,
Yeah.
but the same result, more or less. And then you said Knicks and 6, right?
Yeah.
Knicks and is there
Knick sweep. Knick sweep. No, honestly, I think it could go 6-7, but Knick sweep.
That's I hope you don't bet on that. That you're a psycho. I want you to be honest, and I want you, because I feel like you have a better pulse of like I try to think overly rationally sometimes, and then I end up being pessimist about my own teams and feelings and crap like that. Is the Knicks? Do people just say Knicks and 6 because it rhymes more than anything else? Like, and the fact that the game 6 would be at home, like we're not even the best home. We're not the best home team. We're like a better road team a lot of the times. Like, and I believe honestly, this goes 7 games. Like, this is the most evenly matched series. Whether the Knicks or the Cavs win game 7, who the F knows? They're both not the most clutch in the world. The Knicks actually have better closing out clutch numbers than the Cavs, even though the Cavs have Donovan Mitchell and the Knicks don't have Donovan Mitchell. But as we saw last year in the playoffs, and as we've seen time and again, Jalen Brunson is one of the most clutch players in the NBA, especially considering his size, the way he can finish and all that stuff. I think this goes 7. I don't care about bias or anything. If I was a Cavs fan, I'd be saying Cavs in 7, but I'm saying Knicks in 7 is where I think I'm going.
Consensus that I've been seeing is there's a lot.
I've seen Knicks in 6 though.
I've seen a lot of 5. A lot of 5.
That's super. Like, in what world? Like, in what have we seen this year that says we watched us beat the Hawks in the regular season 2 years ago, and then just the overall brashness of New York fandom, and just like, was there like did everyone just like take like the neuralizer from Men in Black and forget what just happened? Like, how do you think we're gonna win a series, our very next playoff series, in 5 games? We're not the 1 seed. We're not the Bucks or the Nuggets playing the Timberwolves or the Raptors. We're not. And we're not the Sixers playing the godforsaken Brooklyn. We gave away all of our stars, and hopefully someone doesn't sell our team and move us out of Brooklyn soon Nets. We're the Knicks. These are the Knicks. We don't have that pedigree, and we don't they're so evenly matched on paper. And the Cavs do probably have 3 of the best 4 players, assuming Randle's not playing for the first couple of games. Like, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley are 1, 3, 4 in my opinion. And then I never gave my top 5. So here we go, actually. So if Randle is in and if Randle's not in, my 5 most important guys in this series. And I think 1 and 1A, whether you say 1, 2, 2, 1, I actually don't care. I'm not saying who's better. I'm saying who's the most important. Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson are the 2 most important players for their teams in this series. If the Knicks win, it's because Jalen Brunson was more important and dominated more. If the Cavs win, it's because Donovan Mitchell was more important and dominated more. I really, no matter how many other nuances and little things go on here and there, like, I think whichever one of those guys wins, it means they had multiple 30 plus. For Brunson to be 30 plus, for Mitchell to be 35 plus point games in games their teams won. So I think those are the 2, whether 1, 2, 2, 1, whatever you want to do. Those are the 2 most important guys. I think 3rd most important guy in the series, if Randle is playing, it's Julius Randle. If Randle is not playing, I think it's Evan Mobley. And I do think Evan Mobley is more important to the Cavs' success than Darius Garland, because I do honestly think that Darius Garland is going to force to be a little more. He's not going to be the scorer that he can be. I know he's put up 30-plus point games in a year, but whenever he's played us, he's been more on like the 10 assists vibe than the 30 points vibe. And I just think because of all of our wings and length and stuff like that, that he's not that he can't score on those dudes. It's that he's going to look to be more passive. And I think his effect on offense matters less to the Cavs' success or failure than Evan Mobley's effect does on defense. So if Randle's playing, he's 3 and Mobley's 4. If Randle's not playing, Mobley's 4. And then, dude, you're going to love this one. And I'm actually surprised that of all the times we talked about it and all the times that we've all looked up rebounding stats, the next most important guys, I'm putting them together, is Mitch / Ihart. Like, we win this series outside of whichever one of the top 2 are the best player by either dominating the glass, like getting like 10 plus more boards than them a game, having like 8 to 10 offensive rebounds per game, and them only having 3 or less offensive rebounds per game, second chance points abilities, like free throws, like all that stuff. it comes down to centers and Mitch taking advantage of his size advantage on Allen. Ihart being too big, boxing out Allen and Mobley, not letting them get around him, being quick and nimble enough on his feet to cover the perimeter when they get switches on pick and rolls. Mitch doing the same thing. They're like, if Randle's playing, they would combine for my 5. If Randle's not playing, I'm going to still give another guy, but they would be like 4A, 4B kind of thing. And then without Randle, my last dude would be, I would say Darius Garland, obviously, still the next most important and best guy in the series. But IQ is right there. And I think Emmanuel Quickley is going to definitely have his mark on 1 or 2 of these games. I think Brunson, if the Knicks win, I think it's because Brunson puts up 30 twice. And I think IQ does it once, honestly. And then whether Randle plays good enough when Randle has a couple 25, 10 plus point games when he's in there, whether Mitch and or Ihart literally both combined for like 18 points and 19 rebounds in a game that we just dominated in the glass, that would have to be one of the factors of a winning game in there. But yeah, Vin, you love centers, and I gravitate more towards the 3-point line, and it's based on our height. And when we've always played together, you're a bigger dude. You were always forced to be in the post. I can never even shoot, and I was forced to play outside and figure it out from there. But dude, centers down low is where this series is going to happen, win or lose. And I want this series to go 7 so bad because, again, I think either one of us either lose in 4 or 5 to the Bucks, and this is so evenly matched. As long as we win Game 7, I want it to go Game 7 like I want $1 million. Like, this is making me so excited and so happy that playoff basketball is actually here, man. And a week from today, I'm going to be flying to Miami. So how do you like them apples? Miami, win your effing game, by the way. Your boy is trying to go to Game 3 in Miami when no one shows up for the first effing 12 minutes of a game. I'll be one of 9 people there in the first quarter with Shannon. Like, beat the Bulls. Let me go to Game 3. Let me watch you get smoked by the Bucks. Win your stupid play-in game. Jimmy Butler, damn it. And with that, concludes another episode of the Big Knick Energy Podcast. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on YouTube, Apple Pods, Spotify, and Podbean. Follow our Facebook group, like and share and subscribe, and follow on Instagram and Twitter. Join our chalkboard. We're at 123. We get to 250. We do a giveaway. You like sports, you like message boards, you like gambling. Join our chalkboard. It's connected to our Twitter and Instagram. Let's go, Knicks, Vin. Let's beat the Cavs. Cavs lose in 7 to the New York Knickerbockers, and Jalen Brunson puts up 38, 9, and 4 in the last game with only 1 turnover. Peace.